The mop, the mess, and the moment that changed everything. It was almost closing time at a small burger shop on the edge of West Hollywood. The place was called Benny's Bites. Nothing fancy, just a few red plastic chairs, a tiled floor that always felt sticky no matter how many times it was cleaned, and a menu board where some letters had faded from years of grease and sunlight. But for 16-year-old Liam, it wasn't just a part-time job. It was the only place that had said yes when he needed it most. Liam had applied to 12 places after school let out. He didn't have experience. He didn't have confidence. What he had was a mother who worked to night shifts and a little sister who cried when the fridge was empty. When Benny, the shop owner, called him back and said, "Can you start today?" Liam had cried in the bathroom for 10 minutes before showing up in the only button-up shirt he owned. But that night would test everything. The restaurant was quiet. Only 2 tables were occupied. One had an old man reading a newspaper, and the other had a group of loud teenagers who had been sitting there for over an hour. With just a shared milkshakes, Liam was mopping near the counter, trying to keep his head down. That's when a voice cut through the air like a slap. "Hey, mop boy," one of the teens shouted. "You missed a spot. Right here by my shoe." Liam looked up. The speaker was tall, with sunglasses on indoors and a smug grin. Liam hesitated, then walked over silently to clean the spot. As he leaned down, the teen kicked his cup, spilling the rest of the milkshake right where Liam was about to mop. The others burst into laughter. "Oops," the boy said. "Guess you'll have to work overtime." Liam's cheeks turned red, but he didn't speak. He just kept cleaning. The old man at the other table lowered his newspaper, watched, said nothing. The manager, Julie, peeked out from the back but didn't come forward. She was always afraid of confrontations. Outside, a black motorcycle pulled up. The rider took off his helmet slowly. Tired eyes, quiet expression. It was Keanu Reeves. He didn't plan to eat. He had just finished a long shoot nearby and needed a moment to clear his head. He loved finding small places off the radar, somewhere no one expected him to be. He stepped inside. The bell above the door gave a soft chime, and that's when everything started to change. Keanu scanned the room. He noticed the messy floor, the laughing teens, and Liam, still on his knees, cleaning silently. The boy looked up for a second. Their eyes met. And Keanu didn't look away. He walked over to the counter, looked at the half-asleep cashier, and softly said, "Can I sit anywhere?" The cashier blinked, recognized him too late, and nodded. Keanu took a seat at the table nearest to Liam, deliberately. The teens quieted for a moment. Then one of them leaned over and whispered, "Dude, is that the one who spilled the milkshake?" Grinned. "This just got fun." He looked at Liam and said louder, "Come on, mop boy. Show the celebrity how fast you can clean like a good little servant." Liam paused. Then slowly stood up. His knuckles were white around the mop handle. His eyes welled, but he wouldn't let the tears fall. Keanu stood. Walked over and said 6 words that silenced the entire restaurant. "Would you clean near my table?" Liam blinked. The bully sneered. "What?" Keanu looked directly at the boy, not angry, not cruel, just calm. "He's not your servant. He's working." Then he turned back to Liam. "Please. I spilled something under my table." He hadn't, but Liam nodded and walked over. He began mopping under Keanu's feet. The actor sat down, giving him space, and said quietly, "You're doing great. Don't let people shrink you." Liam didn't answer, but for the first time that night, he breathed. The teen stood up, angry now. "What's your problem, man? We're just messing around." Keanu didn't look at him. Instead, he called to the cashier, "Can you bring a menu and a new milkshake? Chocolate." The cashier brought it over fast. Keanu handed it to Liam. "Take a break," he said. Liam looked down at the milkshake, confused. "But I sit," Keanu said, still gentle. "You've earned it," the bully scoffed. "You can't just..." But then the old man with the newspaper finally spoke. "Son," he said to the teen, "do you know who you're talking to?" The boy laughed. "Yeah, some old actor." The man folded his paper. "That old actor gave his earnings from Matrix to the crew. That old actor helped build homes for people he'll never meet. And now he's defending a kid you tried to humiliate." Keanu shook his head. "It's not about who I am." Then, looking at Liam, he added, "It's about who you are when no one's watching." The restaurant went quiet. The teens left, not out of fear but because they were finally embarrassed by something deeper. By the truth. Liam sat there, sipping the milkshake slowly, unsure what to say. Keanu leaned back in his chair, relaxed, and said, "When I was your age, someone embarrassed me in front of a whole film crew. I dropped a prop. Everyone laughed. I almost walked away from the job." Liam looked up. "What did you do?" Keanu smiled. "I showed up the next day, and the next, until I didn't care who laughed." Liam nodded. Double quotes, "Thank you," he whispered. Keanu stood and gave him a small, respectful nod. "Keep showing up," he said. Before he left, he slipped something to Julie, the manager. She opened the folded note after he walked out. Inside was a check and a message: "Give this boy a raise and a second chance at believing in himself. Second shift. Second chance." Liam woke up the next morning earlier than usual. He hadn't slept much. His body was tired from mopping, his knees ached, and his hands still smelled faintly of cleaning solution. But none of that mattered, because he couldn't stop thinking about what had happened the night before. KeanuReeves, the KeanuReeves, had stood up for him, not with fists, not with shouting, but with quiet strength and calm dignity. And Liam couldn't decide what shocked him more: that someone famous had spoken to him, or that anyone, had seen him. When he felt invisible. At the kitchen table, his mother was packing her lunch for her second job at the laundry center. She looked tired. Her apron had a new tear in it, and her hands were red from scrubbing fabrics all night. "You're up early," she said. "Yeah," Liam replied. "Just thought I'd go in early. Clean up before the shift." She smiled gently. "Mr. Benny must really like you." Liam thought of the note Keanu had left with the check. "I think someone else likes me too," he said under his breath. "What's that?" his mother asked. "Nothing," he replied quickly. "Just, it was a good night." He walked to Benny's Bites with his headphones in, but no music playing. He just wanted the world to feel quiet again. As he approached the shop, he noticed something unusual. The front window was wiped clean. The faded signage had been scrubbed, and the front chairs had been rearranged. He stepped inside. Julie was already there, standing on a stool trying to change the letters on the menu board. She looked down when he walked in. "Liam," she said, "I didn't expect you this early. Thought I could mop before we open." She stepped down, wiping her hands. "Listen," she said, "I want to say sorry for not doing anything last night." Liam shrugged. "It's okay." "No," she said firmly, "it's not." She walked over to the counter and handed him an envelope. Inside was a new name tag. Liam, shift-led, blinked. "What's this?" "Keanu left a note," Julie said. "Said he'd only give us the donation if we used part of it to support the workers who deserved it." Liam stared at the tag. "But you're not just anything," she cut in. "You show up, you do the work, and you stayed kind even when others weren't." The morning passed slowly, but with purpose. Liam cleaned every corner, like it mattered. He wiped down tables twice, organized the straws, restocked the napkins without being asked. But around noon, things changed. A tall man walked in. Not flashy, not loud, but he had presence. It wasn't Keanu, but he had the same stillness. He ordered quietly and took a seat by the window. Liam brought over his drink and smiled politely. "Thanks," the man said. "You're Liam, right?" Liam blinked. "Yeah. How do you know?" The man reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded card. On it, in neat handwriting, was written, "Liam is the real story here. Keep your cameras away. Just listen. K.R." The man smiled. "I'm a journalist, not one of the tabloids. I write for real people. Keanu said I should come see for myself." Liam's stomach turned. "I don't want to be on the internet." The man held up a hand. "I don't want to film you. I just want to hear you off the record." They sat and talked during Liam's break. He didn't tell a dramatic story. He just told the truth. About his mother working double shifts, about his little sister learning how to cook ramen by herself, about how he wore his father's old shoes to work because they couldn't afford new ones yet, and how, last night, someone saw him and made him feel like he mattered. The article came out 2 days later, not with Liam's photo, not with any dramatic headlines. Just a simple title, A Boy, a Mop, and a Moment. It told the story of kindness, of quiet courage, of a world where a celebrity didn't save the day with fame but with human decency. And it went viral. Celebrities began commenting, not about Keanu, but about Liam. People called the restaurant offering donations, scholarships, job opportunities. A nearby community college offered him a full ride. Another sent supplies for his sister's school. But Liam didn't say yes to anything right away. He just kept showing up. Every morning, same time. He wanted to earn his way. Meanwhile, Keanu hadn't been back to the shop. Not yet. But one day, as Liam was taking out the trash in the back alley, he noticed a folded piece of paper taped to the back door. He opened it. Inside was a simple message. You did more than survive. You inspired. Don't stop now. KR, and taped below it was a signed letter of recommendation with just 5 words written in bold. This young man is extraordinary. The bully from that night, he came back to not to order food. To apologize. Liam had just finished wiping down the register when the boy walked in, hands in his hoodie, head lowered. I saw the article. He mumbled. You didn't tell them my name wasn't the point, Liam said quietly. The boy nodded. I was a jerk. I know. Liam didn't smile, didn't forgive. Not right away. He just said, I hope you grow from it. And with that, he went back to mopping. Same floor, same mop. But everything felt different. He wasn't just cleaning up messes anymore. He was standing taller. Later that week, the owner of Benny's Bites called a staff meeting. We're changing a few things, Benny said. New training, more respectful culture. And we're starting a scholarship fund in Liam's name for teen workers. Liam's face turned red. I didn't ask for that, he said. We know, Benny replied. That's why you deserve it. Outside, as Liam locked up for the night, he looked up at the stars. For the first time in months, they didn't feel so far away. He thought of Keanu. And whispered, thank you. A mop, a letter. And the Hollywood-called morning light poured through the dusty windows of Benny's Bites, warming the red counter tiles and bouncing off the polished napkin holder. It was a quiet hour. No customers yet, just the smell of fresh coffee and floor cleaner. Liam stood behind the counter, organizing receipts. Every movement felt different now. Not because the job had changed, but because he had. His back stood straighter. His eyes didn't look at the floor anymore. He wasn't invisible. The story had spread like wildfire. Without Liam even realizing it, his name had started floating around places it had never been before. Not in gossip columns or movie trailers. But in classrooms. On podcasts. In parenting groups. In quiet conversations where someone said, this kid reminded me that being decent still matters. But Liam didn't read the articles. He didn't scroll the hashtags. He just showed up to work every day. Same time, same shoes, same apron. Because that's what Keanu had done. Showed up, quietly, humbly. Not for cameras. For people. One afternoon, as Liam was finishing up lunch prep, Julie walked over, holding a yellow envelope. This just came for you. Liam wiped his hands and took it. There was no return address. Just his name. He opened it slowly, carefully, like it might fall apart in his hands. Inside was a letter typed, but signed in ink. The letter read, Liam, you don't know me, but your story reached my daughter. She was being bullied at school and felt like no one cared. She saw the way you stayed kind, the way you kept going. She said, if he can be brave, maybe I can too. Thank you for saving my little girl. A mother from Ohio. Liam's hands shook. He read the letter again. Then folded it, slid it back into the envelope, and put it in his pocket. He didn't tell anyone what it said. But for the rest of the shift, he worked with tears quietly tucked beneath his smile. The next day, Benny himself showed up, something that didn't happen often anymore. Benny was a big man with a beard that looked like it had seen 3 generations of ketchup stains. He walked up to Liam and handed him a note. Someone's asking for you, he said. A casting director. Liam's eyes widened. For what? No idea. Benny shrugged. They left a number. Liam didn't call right away. He thought it was a prank. Or maybe someone trying to ride the viral wave. But that night his mom came home with her shoes soaked from rain and her eyes tired from double shifts. She sat down and rubbed her back and said with a small laugh, "A co-worker told me they saw your story on a news app. They asked if I was your mom." Liam smiled. "What did you say?" I said. "I'm his mother and he's my hero." And that's when he made the call. The voice on the other end was sharp and direct. "Liam, this is Jordan from LA Casting. I've got someone who wants to meet you." Liam swallowed. "Why?" "Because Keanu Reeves gave us your name." 2 days later, Liam found himself standing outside a glass building downtown, wearing his cleanest jeans and his dad's old dress shoes. He walked into a small studio office where a few people were gathered around a script. One woman looked up, smiled, and said, "You must be Liam." He nodded. She handed him a page. "This is a scene from a short film we're casting. Keanu's funding it. He wants real people, not actors." Liam blinked. "But I've never acted." "He knows," she said gently. "He wants you, Liam. Read the scene." It was simple. A teenager working in a small restaurant, being bullied in front of customers. But this time, someone stood up. Someone showed kindness. Someone changed everything. Liam finished reading. The room was silent. Then one of the casting producers said, "You don't need to audition. Keanu already chose you." When Liam left the studio that day, he didn't feel like a celebrity. He felt like himself, just Liam, the boy with the mop. The boy who didn't fight back but stood his ground. And now, the boy who had a chance to help others feel seen. A week later, they started filming the short. Keanu wasn't in the scene, but he was behind the camera, wearing a faded cap and a quiet expression. He walked over to Liam during a break. "You nervous?" he asked. "A little," Liam admitted. "What if I mess it up?" Keanu smiled. "Then we do it again." Liam looked down. "Why me?" Keanu's eyes softened. "Because the world needs to see boys like you, the kind who choose kindness even when no one's clapping." When the short film was finished, they called it Table 4. It was released online. No ads, no sponsors, just a caption, "Inspired by someone who reminded me what courage looks like. K.R. Millions watched. Not because it was a Hollywood masterpiece, but because it was real. The final scene showed a boy quietly cleaning a mess he didn't make, and a stranger choosing to stand beside him. One morning, Liam came into work and found the mop already standing upright in the bucket, clean, dry, ready. There was a note taped to the handle. "You don't need to clean to be worthy, but you cleaned anyway. That's why you're strong. K." And from that day on, Liam knew something deep in his bones. He didn't need cameras or applause or recognition. He just needed to keep showing up. Kind, steady, strong. Just like the man who believed in him, * when Hollywood clapped. But Liam looked away. The film was short. Only 6 minutes. But it said everything it needed to. No explosions, no big stars, no dramatic music. Just a boy, a mop, a table of bullies, and a quiet man who refused to look away. It had only been 2 weeks since Table 4 released online. In that time, the view count passed 10 million. The comment section overflowed with stories. "This reminded me of my son who was bullied and never told us. I cried when the customer stood up for him. I wish more people did that in real life. This wasn't acting, this was real." And for the first time in his life, Liam couldn't walk to school or the diner without someone recognizing him. But instead of saying, "Aren't you that kid from the short film?" they said, "Thank you." He had offers now. Real ones, a documentary. Team wanted to follow his life. A book agent reached out asking if he'd write a memoir. One big talk show invited him and Keanu to sit on stage together and relive the magic. But Liam hesitated. Something inside him didn't feel right. Because with all the lights and praise, something was getting lost. The truth, the simple truth. On a cold Tuesday evening, he sat in the break room at Benny's Bites, staring at the wall clock. He was early again, by choice. The mop leaned against the door, the same one from that night. He hadn't touched it in days. Not because he didn't want to, but because others now refused to let him. Julie kept saying, "You've outgrown that mop, Liam. You've inspired the world." But Liam didn't care about the world. He cared about showing up. About staying humble. about never forgetting where he started. A soft knock came on the back door. He opened it, and there stood Keanu. No security, no cameras, just him and a brown paper bag. Brought you lunch, Keanu said. You didn't answer my texts. Liam stepped aside. Embarrassed, I didn't know what to say. Keanu walked in and sat down at the small metal table. That's okay. I didn't come to ask questions. Just wanted to sit. They ate in silence. Peanut butter sandwiches and apple slices. Like two people who didn't need noise to feel connected. After a while, Liam spoke. Why did you do all this for me? Keanu looked at him. Because once, someone saw me when I felt invisible. But you're famous. Liam said. People always see you. Keanu shook his head. They see the actor, not the man. Liam nodded slowly. Sometimes, he said, I feel like people are cheering for something I didn't ask for. You didn't, Keanu replied. But you earned it. Keanu reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded paper. He slid it across the table. Liam opened it. It was a printed invitation. Youth Impact Awards, honoring Liam Jenkins for courage, kindness, and influence. He stared at it. I don't want to go, Liam whispered. Why not? Because that's not me, he said. I'm just a worker. Keanu leaned forward, elbows on the table. Being seen doesn't mean you change who you are. It means you get to choose how the world sees you. Liam thought about that for a long time. Finally, he said, I'll go, but only if you come to. Keanu smiled. Deal. The night of the awards was loud. Photographers everywhere, red carpets, gold lighting. Liam had never worn a suit before. It was borrowed. Too big in the sleeves. But he wore it with quiet pride. When he walked into the venue, the entire room stood. Cameras flashed. Reporters whispered, there he is, the real story. He kept his head down until he saw one familiar face, his mother. Dressed in a simple navy dress, sitting near the front, her eyes full of tears. When his name was called, he walked up slowly, breathing deep. He stood behind the microphone. 1,000 eyes on him. But he didn't panic. Because he remembered something Keanu said. Speak from the mop, not the fame. So he began. I don't know how to make speeches, he said softly. I still mop floors. And I still wake up scared some days. But that night, someone saw me, not for how weak I looked, but for how strong I stayed. He looked around. You don't have to wear a cape to be brave. You just have to stay kind when it's hardest. He paused. This isn't my award. This is for every kid who goes home tired, who helps their mom without being asked, who walks to school even when it hurts. If someone like me can be seen, then so can you. The room was silent. And the applause came. Not loud. But deep. Real. Backstage, Keanu met him with a hug. You crushed it. Liam shook his head. I just told the truth. That's what crushed it. After that night, Liam didn't do many more interviews. He turned down a movie offer. He kept working weekends at Benny's, and every Friday, without fail, he mopped the floor. Not because he had to, but because it reminded him who he was. And then something unexpected happened. A teacher from a high school in Detroit messaged the diner. Can Liam come speak to our class? He didn't want to. He was nervous. But Keanu said, what if one of those kids needs to hear it like you once did? So he went. Just a small classroom, 20 students, one blackboard. He told his story. At the end, a girl in the back row raised her hand and asked, what if you don't have a Keanu? Liam smiled softly. Then be someone else's. The boy who said no to Hollywood. Liam sat on the bus headed home from Detroit, the rhythm of the road humming beneath his seat. His phone buzzed again. Another email. Another offer, this time from a studio executive in Los Angeles. They wanted him to audition for a lead role in a new drama about a teen janitor who inspires a broken town. The subject line said, this role was made for you. He didn't open it. Not because he wasn't honored, but because he had already made up his mind. When the world starts cheering for you, it's easy to believe the applause means you belong somewhere higher, somewhere brighter. But Liam didn't want the stage. He wanted the sidewalk. The place where real people walked. After his talk at the school in Detroit, something inside him had changed. He had seen those students' eyes wide, curious, tired, and quiet, and he knew that's where he was needed most. Not on a screen, but in real life. When he returned to Los Angeles, the first thing he did was walk to Benny's Bites, not to work a shift, but to clean up after hours. Julie tried to stop him at the door. "You're a speaker now," she said. "A leader. You don't need to do this." Liam smiled. "That's why I need to." He picked up the mop and walked in. The next day, he met with Keanu outside a small coffee shop tucked between a laundromat and a book repair store. Keanu wore his usual faded black jacket and motorcycle boots. No cameras, no entourage. Just two people sitting at a metal table with chipped paint, sharing muffins and sunlight. "You've turned down a lot," Keanu said. Liam nodded. "I don't want to be famous. That's rare." Keanu smiled. "I want to be useful," Liam said. "I think there's more power in showing up than showing off." Keanu leaned back. "I once walked off a major movie set to visit a sick friend. Lost a huge deal for it. Do you regret it?" "Not for a second." Liam looked away for a moment. Then he asked something he had been holding in his heart since that first night. "Why did you walk into Benny's that day?" Keanu thought for a second. "Because I was lost," he said. "And I believe when you're lost, you find what you need. Or who you need." Liam stared at the sidewalk. "So, I was who you needed." Keanu smiled, slow and real. "You reminded me who I was trying to be." After that coffee, Liam started doing something unusual. He returned to the high school he had graduated from just a year before, but not as a student. He asked if he could volunteer once a week with the janitorial staff. Not to give back, not to inspire, just to work. He helped fix lockers, wipe chalkboards, and clean gym floors after basketball games. At first, students stared. Some laughed. Others took photos. But Liam ignored it all. Then, one day, a teacher asked if he could speak in the school auditorium. "We're doing a week on dignity," she said. "Would you tell your story?" He hesitated. But then said yes. The auditorium was half full. Mostly kids who had no idea who he was. He didn't start with the viral story. He didn't mention Keanu. He talked about the night he cleaned up a spilled milkshake while 4 teens laughed at him, and how someone said 6 simple words that changed his life. "Would you clean near my table?" After the talk, a boy came up to him, nervous, maybe 14. "I mopped the library." The boy said, "People make fun of me." Liam reached into his pocket and handed the boy something. His old name tag, the one that read, "Liam, shift lead." "Keep this," he said. "Not to remember me, to remember you." The next week, Liam visited a shelter. The week after, he met with a youth center director who asked him to help run an after-school program for teens who had dropped out. He said yes. Again and again. He said yes, not to fame. To people. But then came something unexpected. Keanu called and asked him to come to a small dinner. "It's not Hollywood," Keanu promised. "Just a few people doing quiet work." Liam showed up wearing a plain shirt and clean shoes. He didn't expect much, but as he walked into the room, his breath caught, because there, sitting at the table, were 12 strangers. A teacher who had funded her school's art program from her own savings. A man who'd rebuilt houses for veterans after his brother didn't come home. A woman who had cooked meals every weekend for families in the cancer ward. And in the center of the table was a wooden bowl. Inside it were slips of paper. Each one had a name written on it. Keanu looked at Liam and said, "These are the people who changed lives quietly. Every month, we gather to listen." Liam took a seat. Listen. Did in single quotes T speak much. But that night, he felt something he had never felt in any viral moment, any stage, any headline. He felt belonging. Before they all left, the group passed the wooden bowl around. Each person wrote a new name on a blank slip of paper. A name of someone they thought deserved to be seen. Liam didn't hesitate. He wrote, "The girl from Detroit who asked, 'What if you don't have a Keanu?'" Keanu saw it. Read it, and nodded. As they stepped out into the cool night, Keanu placed a hand on Liam's shoulder. "You know," he said, "you've done more than any movie role ever could." Liam looked up at the stars and replied, "I don't want to play the hero." Keanu smiled. "You already are." When Liam stood up for someone else, a year had passed since that night at Benny's Bites. the mop, the milkshake, the quiet words that changed everything. A year since, Liam was just a teen trying to make it through one more shift. Now he was known in places he had never visited. But if you asked Liam what he was most proud of, he would say, "I still mop my floor every Sunday." Not because he had to, but because he wanted to remember where his strength was born. Liam didn't chase speeches anymore, didn't follow cameras. He followed people. He helped start a teen resilience group at his old high school. He spent weekends organizing food drives with his mom, and sometimes, when things got too loud, too busy, he'd text Keanu just 2 words, "coffee," and no matter where he was, Keanu found time. On one rainy afternoon, they sat together in a back booth at a cafe. Liam was quiet, eyes watching the street outside. Keanu sipped his tea and waited. Then Liam said softly, "Something happened." "Tell me," Keanu said. "There's a new worker at the diner," Liam explained. "A girl. Her name's Rosa. She's 15. Quiet, kind, first job. Yesterday a group of college kids came in and started making fun of her." Keanu's jaw tightened. "She dropped a whole tray," Liam continued, "and they clapped sarcastically. They called her names. Did anyone stop them?" Liam shook his head. "Not even the manager." Keanu leaned forward. "Did you?" Liam's eyes met his. "I wanted to, but I froze. I remembered how you spoke for me that night. I wanted to do the same for her, but I didn't." Keanu sat in silence for a moment. Then he said something Liam didn't expect. "Good." Liam blinked. "What?" "Because now," Keanu said, "you'll never freeze again." That night, Liam couldn't sleep. He kept seeing Rosa's eyes wet with shame, her hands shaking as she cleaned up the tray mess. He knew that pain too well. He also knew silence can sometimes hurt more than words. The next morning, Liam woke early. He put on his apron, not because it was his shift, but because he was going in anyway. He walked through the back door of Benny's and found Rosa, standing near the sink, shoulders hunched, wiping dishes with too much pressure. "Hey," Liam said gently. She looked up. "I heard about yesterday," he said. She didn't speak. Just nodded and looked down. He walked over and handed her something. His old name tag, the one he had once given away to the janitor's son. But he had made a copy, and this time, he had added one word under the name, Leader. "Why are you giving me this?" she whispered. "Because you showed up again," Liam said. "That's what leaders do." Tears slipped down her cheeks, but she smiled, a soft, brave smile. A few hours later, the college group came in again. That same booth, same noise. Liam saw them, and this time, he didn't freeze. He walked to their table with a pitcher of water and said, "Before you order, I need to say something." They looked up, annoyed. "Rosa is one of the hardest working people here," Liam said calmly. "If you can't treat her with respect, you can eat somewhere else." One of them scoffed. "Who even are you?" Liam smiled. "Just a worker." Like her. The table quieted. They didn't order. They left. Rosa stood in the back, eyes wide, hand covering her mouth. She whispered, "You didn't have to do that." "I know," Liam said. "But I wanted to." That evening, Keanu got a text from Liam. "I stood up today." Keanu replied instantly, "You're becoming the person I hope to be." Months passed. Liam continued helping at the diner, speaking to schools, building food drives, and guiding teens like Rosa. One day, a man walked into the restaurant, middle-aged, tired eyes, and a badge on his jacket. "I'm from the city council," he said. "We'd like to honor you." Liam stepped back. "Why?" "For what you've done for this community." Liam looked around. At the tables, at the mop in the corner, at Rosa wiping the counter with pride. "I don't need an award," he said. "Then what do you want?" the man asked. Liam smiled. "I want more kids like Rosa to believe they matter. Give her the microphone. Give them the stage." The man paused, then nodded. "We can do that." A few weeks later, at a youth leadership summit, Rosa stood in front of 400 people, nervous, trembling. Then she saw Liam in the front row, holding up his name tag with the word leader. She smiled and began. And so, the story continued. Not in headlines. Not in interviews. But in the quiet bravery passed from one soul to another. As for Keanu, He kept visiting. Kept cheering, kept reminding Liam that true greatness isn't found in spotlight moments, but in the ones where you choose to be kind when it's hardest, when it's silent, and when no one may ever know. On Liam's birthday, Keanu sent him a small box. Inside was a silver pin, shaped like a mop, and a note that said, "Not all heroes wear capes, some carry buckets."